Is your life dominated by fools or driven by wisdom? Welcome to the Daily Devo. I am Vince Miller. Today we begin a brand new chapter, 1 Samuel chapter 25. This one involves three characters, or predominantly three characters: David, Nabal, and his wife Abigail. And you're going to get to see a warrior's anger, a fool's reckless pride, and a woman's humble wisdom. It will be very easy to discern who is who in the story as I read verses 1 through 3. Now, Samuel died. Poor Samuel, he only gets like a verse here, by the way. Now, Samuel died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him, and they buried him in his house at Ramah. I'm sure there was a massive procession for him. It was the end of an era. Then it reads, Then David rose and went down to the wilderness of Paran, and there was a man in Maon whose business was in Carmel. This is southern Carmel, by the way. The man was very rich, excessively rich. He had 3,000 sheep, 1,000 goats. He was shearing his sheep in Carmel, meaning he's about to make himself excessively richer. Now, the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife, Abigail. The woman was discerning and beautiful, but the man was harsh and badly behaved. He was a Calebite. So, again, Samuel's death marks the total end of this incredible era, signaling a shift in Israel's leadership. The transition really invites us in this book to focus more tightly in on David's leadership, which is still being shaped by a lot of conflict in his life on his way to yet becoming the second king. And in this chapter, we will see how David has to navigate a fool on his way to marrying into greater wisdom. And you'll see what I mean by that in a few devotionals. But as we dive into this chapter, you will see a sharp contrast between Nabal and Abigail. Nabal's a very wealthy man who embodies foolishness. In fact, his very name means fool, which I would assume is a nickname because I don't know many parents who would name their child Fool. Unless they really hated him, maybe. Maybe he gets that name out of the context of this experience right here. In stark contrast, there is Abigail, his wife, who is a woman of wisdom and discernment and humility. And this story of David's encounter with this couple reveals profound truths to us about the nature of human relationships, which will develop in the chapter. But let me ask you a question today. Who are the Nabals and Abigails in your life? Who are the Nabals and Abigails in your life? I really want you to actually think about this today. I want you to think about your experiences and relationships and who actually embodies the Nabal in your life. Perhaps it's a colleague whose arrogance frustrates you, or a family member whose pride blinds them, or a friend who dismisses your input in this life. This week, consider how you typically react to these Nabals. Are you quick to anger? Can you step back? Can you maybe respond differently? Now recall the Abigails in your life. Their discernment is always rooted in humility and in grace and in love. Is there someone in your life who approaches conflict with wisdom, patience, and understanding? Who is that person? This week, consider their wisdom and aim to embody their approach in your human interactions. So here's your three-part challenge today. Number one, identify. Take a moment to actually identify the names of the Nabals and Abigails in your life. And I don't want you to share this list with anyone or post it on your social accounts. I just want you to think about who they are, because acknowledgement is where it all begins. Number two, I want you to reflect. For each Nabal, I want you to reflect and ask yourself two questions. What drives their behavior? How can I respond differently? What drives their behavior? How can I respond differently? And then third, act. This week, practice Abigail's humility and wisdom, which will develop. When faced with a foolish act or a difficult conversation, just pause, then pray for wisdom. Respond with grace. You might be surprised by how your approach changes the dynamics of relationships in your life. Remember, you can choose wisdom over folly. You can. I know you can. It's possible. Make it a week where you don't just avoid fools or avoid acting like a fool, but actively fool the world with some wisdom instead. I love you guys. I pray this blessed you. If it has, please share it with someone else, and I'll see you right back here again.